race car spelled backwards is still race car. Welcome to the Race Car Spelled Backwards podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Brad, and with me is my co-host Jamie, and this is the Race Car Spelled Backwards podcast.
And do you know it's still backwards? It's still race car.
Is it?
Yeah, even now. I mean, after 2 weeks of race car backwards.
I was wondering why race car backwards, or race car in general, is recognized as a dyslexic. Even backwards, it still reads as race car, so it's like my favorite word.
It's been mine since I was a kid, and I first discovered Matchboxes and Hot Wheels.
It must have something to do with it being, because it is dyslexic, we can read it frontwards or backwards, so maybe it's just giving the rest of the world a glimpse into our life.
I think there's quite a few dyslexic people out there. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, it happens that way. So to start off the show today, this is going to be a quick recap of what's going on this week. We're going to touch on a few news items, but to get us started, I want to point out a few hotels in the area. So if you're going out to Fontana and you're looking for a room last minute, I just wanted to kind of tell you where not to stay, avoid. And I'll get it started, Jamie. I'm gonna point out the Motel 6 here, and it's got a 3.6 rating overall. It's had 1,500 reviews. It does have free Wi-Fi, according to some of the reviews. According to a lot of the reviews, that Wi-Fi does not work, but it is free when it does work. Kind of a good thing, I guess. It looks like 4 weeks ago, Eric was staying at the Motel 6 there, and she found hair and dirt in the bed, and the plug in the shower was bent. I'm not really sure what that means. I wonder if there was hair in that shower. I hope not.
Or maybe she transferred it from the shower to the bed after she showered.
Here's another one from Alton. He is a truck driver, and he's been staying there for 3 days, and he's in room 220 on his review here. And Alton was saying that it wasn't that bad the first day. It was that second day when the roaches started coming out. He did say roaches. So he went and told the front desk, and they said thanks for letting them know, and that was it. So I guess had to share that room the rest of the week with the roaches. I hope they shared their food.
If you picked up some roaches and they were riding on your shoulder and you go to the race in Fontana this weekend, do you have to get a ticket for them?
Probably. You definitely have to show a net roaches, though. Just
do they have to wear a mask?
I think because roaches are so resilient and they're going to outlive all of them and duct tape, that they don't have to wear a mask. Or maybe they have to wear a duct tape mask. I really can't answer that. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on YouTube.
I think if we shot an email to the governor of California, he'd reply and let us know.
Highly doubtful. That would be like an LB bomb all the way. You'd never get a response.
Yeah. He is a loser bum. The rules don't apply to him. I saw pictures of him at the Super Bowl.
That's a fact. So what are you trying to keep our listeners from avoiding there, Jamie?
The Orange Show Inn in San Bernardino. It's only a 15-minute drive. If you were to stay at that hotel, you would take Interstate 215 to Interstate 10 West and exit at Cherry Avenue and take you right to the track, 15 minutes.
I'll be honest, it sounds like a nice place, the Orange Show.
Well, the way I was thinking about it, these reviews could warn you about a hotel, but they could also help you. If you need a place where you're just going to shower, go for it, I mean, wear flip-flops and go back to the track.
I'm just saying, I've been into some hotels that I wouldn't even shower in recently, so I
Well,
don't
that's
know,
kind of
man.
what spurred this whole little segment, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Try
that's what
to
I'm saying. So,
help our listeners out there avoid, or if they just need a crappy hotel, you can probably rent these by the hour. Better than using a porta john if you meet some chick in the infield.
I don't know, maybe those roaches might get you.
Yeah, that's true.
But what are they
But
say? What are people saying? Orange show in.
Michael gave it a 1 out of 5 on Google, and and he said, and I'm going to try to read it as he wrote it. Well, if you really want to know, there wasn't soap in there, so I could wash my meat straw. No washcloth, only two towels that the people running the place, who initially took most of my money, was a some dumb fool and a young hoe. Water was traveling down the wall and wetting the bed and all my stuff that was on the floor, including my happy sack. Don't go there unless you enjoy fleas, ticks, flies, and leash. They're from the west side, so of course bed bugs. They kind of full of bed bugs, and they were plump and fat, so they already had somebody else's butt anyway. Don't give anybody, don't come here with anybody unless you don't like them. Forrest Gump. No, I'm sorry, that was Michael.
So, in one review, he used meat straw and happy sack. So his happy
Hey,
sack got wet and he couldn't wash his meat straw.
I'm thinking he had a girlfriend coming over.
And he
He
couldn't
had
wash his
a.
happy sack before she got there.
I'd hate to see a meat straw. I've heard it referred to as meat before, but not straw. I mean,
Tubes,
I'd hate
that's
to.
that tube steak, man. It gets you every time.
I mean, I call myself the little pickle, but meat
Little.
straw.
So your statisticals and your little pickle there.
Yeah, and then his happy sack. I'm thinking maybe that's some drugs,
Hey,
maybe.
it could be drugs. His meat straw. Who knows?
And I guess it's from the west side, so bad things happen on the west side of Fontana. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I thought you were saying the west side of his happy sack, so I'm glad you clarified. On the west side of Fontana, it's a little sketchier than the east.
Yeah, and of course, if you're at another race the day before the big race, you could reverse my directions to get there if that's something you really wanted to do. But remember, there's no washcloth to clean your meat straw.
And your happy sack will get wet.
Yeah, because the water is sounds like it's running down the wall from upstairs. So don't stay on the second floor. And as
Yeah.
we've learned from a
Well,
bad
you
hotel
might
experience,
not want to be on that top floor either.
that's true.
Well,
So that's
you
just a
know,
total loser bomb renting from the Orange Show Bernardino.
yeah, and like I said when we started this, the whole point of these reviews isn't to bash these hotels, it's to inform our listeners who may or may not be living in a hotel room in the Fontana area for the race this weekend. We don't want y'all to get stuck with roaches and dirty meat straws.
No, because you don't. And with these flies, if you have a dirty meat straw, they might follow you to the track, and then people sitting around you will be
It's
annoyed
a
with you for
it's a
a dirty
lose
meat.
lose. It's a lose
It
lose
is.
for everybody. So avoid the orange show inn, and if you're gonna stay at the motel, try to go to the 8, not the 6.
I do have a feeling Michael has some issues with that meat straw that a washcloth isn't going to fix.
Oh, yeah, definitely got some issues going on.
Yeah. So I feel bad for Michael. I hope he figures it out. If he's at the Orange Show in Saturday night, maybe you should go check the race out. It's not sold out yet. Tickets are still available.
I mean, worst case, he can jump in the showers out front and watch that meat straw.
Go to the infield. I don't know if they have camping there. I don't know.
I have no idea what they're allowing and not allowing at the track this weekend.
Never
Well,
been to that track. I have seen it from Interstate 10. Looks nice.
speaking of track, had some penalties issued this week for wheels falling off. Looks like the number 31 and the number 50. So Haley and Kaz Gralla got issued some penalties. It looks like their crew chief is going to be sitting out for the next 4 races. On the 31 car, it's going to be their front tire and their jackman is out for the next 4 races. And then on Kaz Gralla, the number 50 car, his crew chief is out for the next 4 races. Rear tire changer and the jackman. What do you think about these penalties, Jamie?
Well, as you and I were talking about this, Brad, I really don't think it's a penalty for the number 50 car
Yeah, I don't
because
either.
I don't think they're planning on racing the next 4 races. So,
So one of the
is it a
things I
penalty for
saw,
them?
technically no, but technically yes. So maybe not so much. If the crew chief of the 50 car is none other than the legendary Tony Uri Jr., but I don't think he had plans to work the next 4 weeks. So it's not a penalty for him. But the rear tire changer and the jackman, however, it is technically a penalty for them because they plan to work on any Xfinity or truck cars the next 4 weeks. They don't have that option now. So they did
Oh,
get
do
hit
you
with it.
think? I didn't read it the same way. I thought it just meant a cup points race, not a. Huh. I never thought of that.
Well, I think it was Bob Pock. Twitter was the one saying that he was explaining the penalty for the money team over there with the number 50 car since schedule, how it really doesn't affect them, but it does affect that jackman and tire changer because they do help out on cars as well. So
Do you
I
think
don't,
it would be in a tire changer? It's a good idea going back to 5 lugs when you're learning how to do one lug or whatever you call that twisty twist.
hey man, you need a paycheck, you'll figure out how to do anything, right?
Well,
So
maybe he's a lot smarter than I am.
the one thing I haven't found clarification on is on the 31 car, at least on TV, it looked like the wheel stayed on the car. Now the wheel was trash after he drove it 3/4 of the track, but the wheel stayed on, the tire came off. So I'm not really sure how that's the team's fault, but I guess low air pressure. I really don't know, and nor have I found a good explanation for it.
I saw pictures of it, and it just looked like it got ate up. It didn't look like the rim came off the car. The tire came off, and then the rim kind of got ate up.
So NASCAR's rule states if your wheel or tire situation comes off, it's a 4 week suspension. Crew chief and two members of the team, Jackman and the tire changer. I will say this: NASCAR stood by their rule. I can't be mad at NASCAR for that. They, for once, they followed the rule to it. Where I come in with an issue on this whole thing is they did not issue a penalty for Penske or RFK Racing, who was modifying the wheels due to the wheels not seating properly. So because they don't seat properly, they're not going to hold on there and they could fall off. Penske and RFK were screaming there was a problem. Nobody was listening until after they get caught and it becomes a
But don't.
if that's the case, couldn't that have played into the 31 or the 50 losing a wheel at the racetrack at Daytona?
Yes, I agree with you on that. Now, well, here's my question, though. It's not really a question. With Penske, at least, they've got more experience having Indy cars.
And sport cars.
So, yeah, in sports cars. But if it's a safety issue, and Joey, when he got stuck, kind of called him out on it. He's like, "We told them about this a long time ago. They didn't do anything." So on national TV, kind of called him out on it. Do you think that kind of put NASCAR in a corner to where it was safety? Now the whole world knows that it was already discussed with NASCAR. And of
I do.
course,
I
look at
I I agree with
Penske has
what you're
got as
saying.
much money as the Frances.
I think there's a lot of different ways to look at this. I agree that no penalty should be given to Penske or RFK Racing. Like you said, Penske has a lot of experience with alloy wheels in racing, so they kind of know what to expect going into it. Where this is all new for NASCAR, but I think they should have penalized them either way. I really could care less, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick, I agree with NASCAR because that's the first race of the year. The car and the rules are going to be changing or ever changing, at least in the beginning. You're going to have to adapt and overcome issues. And if you're not willing to learn together, then you're not really going to get anywhere. Now went and talked to a lot of teams before they decided not to penalize Penske or RFK. They didn't just meet with Penske and RFK, they met prominent team owners in the industry along with the manufacturers of these alloy wheels. So they had these meetings, they had these car agreed, yes, what you're saying is an issue. We're going to make adjustments going into Fontana. We're going to allow all the teams to make adjustments to their wheels. I think they increased the tolerance for the holes there so you can make them bigger.
Weren't the
And then
pins kind of small? That was an issue too.
I think it was a perfect fit. So the pin and the hole were a perfect fit. What Penske tried to do, and this is just, is they tried to bore the holes out to allow it to be an easier fit. So the wheel would slide on to the hub right and go all the way on and fit tight. So when they tightened it down, there wouldn't be any vibrations and we wouldn't be losing wheels.
So
So
those tires had meat straws on them, and they wanted meat pickles.
that's right. The hole wasn't big enough for the happy sack.
God dang it, man!
Like I said, I don't disagree with NASCAR. I'm all about it. I mean, I don't. I'm happy on the penalties that we saw, but I understand where the penalties are coming from. At 190 miles an hour, a tire comes off a car. If another car hits that tire or wheel, it's going to launch it right into the stands. And it's a safety issue, not just for but the people in the infield and the people in the stands. So NASCAR has to stand by that rule. And for that, I salute them. They stood by their rule. Change it on the fly.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of changes up to the All Star race, and probably not probably they will be for the better. I mean, the one thing NASCAR has really done has improved safety. Safety is a number one thing with them, and I mean that's good. Think about it. Who has died in a Cup race since 2001?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, NASCAR's been on top of safety, and I'm thankful they have. I mean, we haven't lost a driver since then. And I mean, as everybody knows, we lost a lot prior to that. Lost some big names in this sport, and they've evolved every time. And even now, without they still keep evolving. I mean, I heard Harrison Burton give an interview yesterday on I think it was Dave Moody's show, Sirius XM radio, but he was fine. He said as far as crashes go, that crash upside down at Daytona was not that bad. I mean, he said when he landed, he tried to start the car back up. and keep going. But it wouldn't. So that right there is a good thing. I mean, that's a good sign for NASCAR too. The fact that Harrison Burton, first time the next gen car has been flipped, he gets out and says, wasn't too bad. I've had harder hits. So that's a good thing. And that was his first flip.
And I think, if we didn't have the transactional problems we had over at the
Call
Coliseum race, yeah. So I think,
Yeah.
some things have been looked at and already fixed.
Like I said, I would up until the chase starts. So once we get to the final races, at the last 10 races of the year, I would expect rule changes to happen and improvements to be made. Now, once we get to the playoffs, I really think you need to leave everything alone. At that point, let's finish the season out with what we got. Any changes we need to make, we'll make them in the off season. I'm not a fan of rule changes during. It's just not it's not something I enjoy to see.
I think by the All Star race, you're going to be short track, mile and a half, super speedways. I mean, they're going to have seen everything up until then.
Well, we pretty much everything on this West Coast swing. We got a mile and a half at Vegas, 1 mile at Phoenix, and a 2 mile track here at Fontana. You got 3 races on the West Coast, and all 3 are completely different.
Yeah, I hope they have everything worked out so it's super competitive. The next race will be at Live in Atlanta.
I agree. In other news, I saw that signed a deal to race full time in all 6 SRX races. Did you see that?
Yeah, is he going to be the replacement for Paul Tracy, the guy that wrecks everybody?
I think Paul Tracy's racing in it again.
Oh, that would be just perfect. Having Paul Tracy trying to pass Ryan Newman. Oh my God.
Anybody trying to pass Ryan Newman. Honestly, I think Ryan's going to do really good in it because Ryan is a modified driver. I think Greg Biffle, Ryan Newman, Bobby Labonte, and Michael are the 4 drivers coming from NASCAR or with NASCAR ties going to the SRX series. And the rest, I believe, are pretty much Indy for the most part from what I've seen.
I mapped out the distance from my house to Five Flags down in Pensacola. No, it's only 5 hour drive.
Yeah, I was looking at that myself. I was also looking at the Nashville Fairgrounds. That's even closer for us.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm thinking road trip.
I mean, that's just, we'll take that Speed Demon Prius I got. And
We can record race car spelled back from the fairgrounds in Nashville or Five Flags in Pensacola or both.
no, that would be a blast. And
Well,
it was a great series last year. I'm looking forward to it this year.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's a cool concept that Tony and those guys came up with. I mean, Tony's one of the greatest minds in racing right now, in my opinion. I mean, he's an all around established racer from TV broadcast. He did phenomenal in the booth. He's owned a car. Owns a car and owns a racetrack. He's raced. He was the inaugural championship winner for the SRX series. He's won championship. He's won it in Indy. So I mean, the guy knows what he's talking about. And then you got Ray Everham, who is easy minds ever in the sport of NASCAR and auto racing.
Engineering genius.
The things that Ray and years ago are still talked about today as genius and above the curb. Well, anyway, as we get ready to wrap this show up, let's make our picks. So Who do you got to win? Santa.
Well, after the Daytona 500, the Fords look stout, but I'm gonna pick Kyle Busch to win
Picking
it.
Bush.
I'm picking Busch.
Asshole. I had Kyle Busch on my list.
Oh, well, we can vote. We had the same people last week. Now,
Kyle Busch has 9 starts at Fontana. He's got 3 wins, 5s, 8 top 10s, and 564 total laps led with an average finish of 5.1. Busch is the only driver at Fontana going into this weekend.
well, my second pick is his brother.
Kurt?
Yep.
I went with the other for my main pick. I had Kyle Busch written down, but like I told you, I picked a secondary pick so we wouldn't both have the same driver. I went with Kyle Larson for 2 reasons. He's got 7 starts there and 1 win. He's got 2 second-place finishes. He's got an average finish of 14.7, but really the main reason is that high side used to work great in the next-gen car, but if the high side works, Kyle Larson has perfected it, and I expect to see him up there running the wall.
Yeah, I expect he could do it, but the reason I'm going with Kurt, he hasn't had good equipment since he left Stewart Haas, and now he's back in good equipment. And I just think he's a wheel man. He's a wheel man.
It wouldn't surprise me to see either one of the Busch brothers end up in victory lane. That would not surprise me whatsoever. Chase Elliott is the only next to Kyle Busch in the field with a single-digit average finish, and he's got an average finish of 9.4. Now, Chase is on here compared to Kyle Busch's 9, but still, that says
there you are with your statisticals again. You're just loading up on the statisticals.
I spent a lot of time on my statisticals. So, if you had to pick a long weekend, who would that be?
My dark horse, I'm going with a Ford, Harrison Burton.
Good God, man, we are too much alike. I don't.
Well, actually, you showed the list to me, and you showed me the list. I stole them, but
I went with Harrison Burton too because he's only raced here one time in the.
Actually, you did not share you didn't share the dark horse with me. You shared the other 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We think too much alike, man.
Well, if you were to take a 4th dark horse, we had no prior discussion or second dark horse. We did 2 for the win. What would be your 4th surprise pick?
Tyler Reddick.
Tyler Reddick, huh?
Well, Reddick knows how to ride that wall. You put him on the outside.
Got that meat straw too.
You put him on the outside, he'll ride it like a meat straw. I'm telling you. His happy sack will be happy up against the wall. I guarantee. It wouldn't surprise me to see Harrison or Tyler Reddick run well. It would surprise me in a sense to see either one of them win, because this is a track we haven't been to in a couple of years. I think your veterans like your Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, Truex, the guys who, even Harvick, the guys who have 9-10 starts at this track, I would
Brad could pull one out. They're not going to be, huddled up and bumping. So
well, that might be a down, of course for Brad, he might not be able to get up there if you can't push them out of the way.
And if you can't wipe out half the field.
Brad's going to be that guy Sunday out of turn 3 going into turn 4 to take the checkered flag. He's just going to drop the hammer right there and run through all the cars before they even get to the start of the race. They're like, oops, I thought he said go.
I've got another prediction for you.
What you got?
Hamlin only wins 1.
All season?
all season.
Okay. I would be
I
all right
and
with that because I'm not a Hamlin fan, but
well, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody in NASCAR because it'll bite you in the ass sometimes. But I will say this: we talked about last week why we have our favorite drivers and that they were nice to us when we were children.
yep.
My kids loved FedEx because they brought boxes to the house with Amazon. And Denny wasn't nice to my son when he was 3 years old. Same son where Junior went out of his way. And I think Junior at the time was young, just started the cup, and was more comfortable.
Well, Denny is the similar age to Dale Jr., so I would think he would have been young when he met to meet him too.
Well, Denny wouldn't look us in the eye, didn't say a word to us, and got the little 8x10 picture that we purchased. He signed it and just slid it out to us. Where I
I'm
was
not.
holding my son, and it was like the year before, Dale Jr. said to my son, he's like, "What's your name?" And, my son said, "Jimmy." And he grabbed his foot and said, "You doing good, Jimmy? You gonna root for me for the race?" And my son said, "Oh yeah, you drive the red car." And then he high fived him. I'm sure Dale Jr. does that all the time, but my son's not a NASCAR fan now that he's in his 20s, but Dale Jr. is still his driver. He wants to know if he won, even if he doesn't watch the race. I haven't had the heart to tell him he's retired now.
Yeah, that was an emotional day for me. It might upset him too. Well,
But
that's it. That's it, man.
Denny's the opposite.
We got
Have
our
we got our
picks made.
statisticals in?
We got our picks. We got our statisticals. Our meat sack. We're all good to go. Our happy sack and our meat stick. Meat straw, right? Dang, I'm confused.
Yeah. So we're only doing 2 shows or one before the 500 and one after. We're going to go back to the 1 time a week format, right?
Correct. Yeah. This was basically just to jump on and recap the news and make our picks. We forgot to do it Monday when we recorded.
Well, and we can do our LBs next week since we don't have a race to
Yeah,
say
we'll
who was
drop.
the LB of the race. We'll each pick an LB loser bomb for
Yeah, we'll have our
after.
LBs by Monday when we record. So, well, that's all I got. Is that all you got, Jamie? You got anything
That's
else?
it, man. I hope
Sounds good.
everybody enjoys the race. What network is it on? Just in case one of our few listeners, my cousins, doesn't know what network to turn it up on.
Fox is going to be broadcasting the commercials, and they're going to interrupt the commercials periodically with auto racing. So if you're watching and you have it record, you'll be able to fast forward through the auto racing and not miss any commercials. No
You
worries.
can also go to MRN's website and listen to it live, stream it, or
That's
do
correct.
both, as I will be doing on Sunday.
Amen to that. All right,
But
everybody.
that's what I was going to say. Adios, guys. Enjoy your taco trucks there in California.
Yeah, make sure you get your meat sticks.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you after the race is over on Monday.
Don't forget to subscribe, everyone. Have a good one.
And like us. Bye. Thanks for listening to Race Car Spelled Backwards.